Hello, hello. What is up, everybody? Hope you guys are doing well. I see Bama there. My dude running late. He's not wrong. He's not wrong. I'm running late today. I'm sorry. But we're here now. We're here now, okay? Sometimes we just start a little late, okay? That's all there is to it. So I hope you guys are doing well. Happy Monday. Good to see you.
Your life is not in your hands. Your life is in the hands of God.
Love it. Come on, Clemson.
Clemson Lady 0322 just resubbed for 53 months.
53. It's insane. Nobody has ever seen a streak like that. 53 months. Appreciate you, Clemson. I hope you're doing great. Good to see you. Thanks for swinging by. Thanks for that resub. Guys, I'm sorry I'm running late today, but I'm getting things going now. All right? I'm getting things going now. It's just a little slow for me today, but we're moving the right direction. Okay. We're moving the right direction. So anyway, we are in John 9:35-41 today. Jesus heard that they had cast him out, and having found him, he said, "Do you believe in the Son of Man?" He answered, "And who is he, sir, that I may believe in him?" Jesus said to him, "You have seen him, and it is he who is speaking to you." This reminds me of the woman at the well, right? Where he's very explicit about who he is. He said, "Lord, I believe," and he worshiped him. Jesus said, "For judgment I came into this world, that those who do not see may see," reminded of Isaiah, "and those who see may become blind." Some of the Pharisees near him heard these things and said to him, "Are we also blind?" That's very interesting. Jesus said to them, "If you were blind, you would have no guilt, but now that you say we see, your guilt remains." This is a very interesting passage, all right? And so this is the culmination of Jesus healing the blind man and his interactions with the Pharisees, right? That's what's going on here. So Bama says, "I've been sitting here since 7 working on an essay about the ascension. I got you. And I'm sorry I was so late. I'm sure you were like looking forward to me coming on earlier than that. And I didn't do a good job." So, but I'm here now. Okay. How is your essay going? How is it going? I hope it's going well. So guys, I don't even know if we'll get like our typical viewers this evening, because I'm like an hour later than I typically go, but I'm excited. We're in it. And this is a very exciting passage. So I've looked at a couple things. Okay. First of all, I found a cross reference here. Here's the Isaiah one with Matthew 13. And then I also just looked at some study Bibles. I looked at Dakes, I looked at NIV, I looked at NLT, and then I also looked at the New Text and Translation commentary from, what's his name? I forget it right now. But he talked explicitly about this passage. I guess there are a couple of textual variants here, right? And I'm still slipping on his name. It is Comfort, Philip Comfort, of course. So anyway, I pulled some information from there on the textual variants and just kind of put some brief comments from him on here. So that's all the prep I've done. I've done a little bit, but not too much. Samantha, hello. My first women's conference went great. Women came up to me wanting me to start teaching them more often. So we will see what happens. Praise God, Samantha. That's really cool. Awesome. Well, I'm glad to hear it. Guys, hold on one second here. I'm doing stuff on my phone on the side. This is part of why I was late. Oh no. I got to step aside for a moment. Okay. I will be right back, guys. I'm sorry. I got a new phone and I'm trying to set it up. And the setup is harder than I thought it would be. Okay. We'll get there though. I'll be right back. All right. I think it's going. Goodness gracious. I shouldn't have got a new phone. That's what I've learned here. What is up, Edwin? Good to see you. Welcome. Bama says, it is going good, but I got derailed onto the topic of does grace conflict with Christ meriting salvation? I see. So you let your interests run away with you while you were supposed to be working on an essay. That doesn't sound like me at all. Yeah. Once you get into a topic, man, you can't pull away from it. I know exactly what you mean. What a mess, guys. I'll be right back. Professional streamer here. Professional streamer. It's doing this phone transfer thing, right? Where it's trying to go back and forth. I'm telling you guys, maybe I shouldn't have went live. I'm done. I can't figure it out. We got to stream, y'all. We got to work on the word. Who knows what this phone is doing? Okay. I can't be responsible for that. I can't be responsible for that. You guys, if you stuck around while I'm trying to fiddle with this, God bless you. Okay. God bless you. Cal Magic says, new book. I can't put it down. Modern Genre Theory. Andrew Judd. 2024 pub date. I know it's not your radar wheelhouse, but I thought you might find it interesting. I've never heard of it. Okay. I got to put it down. Modern Genre Theory. Interesting. And I'm guessing you think that it has some implications for hermeneutics. Cool. Edwin says, I like your videos. I'm very grateful from Puerto Rico. Well, thank you so much, Edwin. I appreciate you. Thank you for all that love and support. That's awesome. Marilda says, Edwin, I was born there. I am in Southern California now. Be blessed. That's awesome. Good to see you, Marilda. Thanks for swinging by. Taiwan Tim, professional streamers all know that if there aren't some kind of tech problems between each string, something's wrong. That's right. That's how I know I'm doing well. Thank you, Taiwan Tim. Thank you. Much love. Appreciate that. Guys, it's a mess, but we're trying to make progress. Okay. I can't be bothered with my phone. I can tell it's like frozen, right? I know it. I know it has to do a transfer. So like I want it to get going, but I just can't. I can't make it happen. Why is this so hard? It feels like it shouldn't be hard. You know what I'm saying? Okay, it says it's transferring now, which I'm going to count as a win, okay? And I'm just not going to touch it. I'm just not going to touch it. Guys, this is a very interesting passage. I preached 2 Sundays ago, essentially about the healing of the blind man himself, the event. And then I preached yesterday, and I talked explicitly about how we often use different methods or different ways of avoiding the truth, because that's exactly what the Pharisees do here. Now, we need to preach about, I don't know if it's spiritual blindness. I'm not sure. This is a very interesting section. Verses 39 to 41 are certainly the most interesting to me. He says, "For judgment I came into this world, that those who do not see may see, and those who see may become blind." Some of the Pharisees near him heard these things and said to him, "Are we also blind?" Jesus said to them, "If you were blind, you would have no guilt. But now that you say we see, your guilt remains." Right? I don't know. That's very interesting. Okay. But the first half, well, I don't know. He worships him. That's a pretty big deal, too. It's a few short verses, but it's a very interesting text. And I'm just not sure where to go with it yet. So, I don't know. Why don't we try Passage Guide? Let's try Passage Guide. It's been a minute since we just relied on the Passage Guide, since I've been doing so much on the AI side of things, the smart search side of things at this point. Let's see how the Passage Guide rolls. Alrighty. I probably need a couple high-level study Bibles for them to tell me kind of what the big picture is. So high-level study Bibles. I like Gospel Transformation Study Bible. That's more high-level. It's not as in-depth. Let's see what they have on it. Yeah. Small section. The whole of the Christian life consists of getting to know Jesus better and better. Jesus sought out the healed man in order to confirm his saving faith. Once again, for John, the prevailing question in his gospel and in our lives is, who is Jesus? Jesus is the promised Son of Man, who one day will rule over all nations. The gifts of God must lead us to true and final gift of God, Jesus himself. So that's good, and it's exactly our pericope, but it's kind of a topic we've already covered here in John, right? What's up, Midnight Doxology? Hello, how are you? Thanks for swinging by. I hope you're doing well. So let's go ahead and throw this in the notes. But it doesn't look like the sort of thing to me that I'm like, oh yeah, I got to do that one, right? But this is Gospel Transformation. And there's a couple ESV study Bibles that are a little more high level like this. So let's try to grab another one. Midnight Doxology says, I would love to know what program you use to stream. I have an ultra-wide monitor, and OBS is a huge pill to get to work on. I use Streamlabs OBS. Slobs. Okay. So, Streamlabs OBS. That one. What's up, Ping? Good to see you. Welcome. Thanks for swinging by. So, I record videos, Midnight Doxology, on standard OBS, but then when I stream, I use Streamlabs OBS. And that isn't always recommended, but it's worked out well for me. It's worked out pretty well for me. Let's grab another one. It's kind of this like moderate range type of thing. Let's try the Spurgeon. I generally don't like this one because it's limited. Well, let's see what it has to say here. Yeah, you can see right here, it skips our pericope. It's just a reference. Yeah, not what we're looking for. Let's try Grace and Truth. That should be a good one. NIV Grace and Truth. Right here. Jesus found the man and questioned him about his faith in the Son of Man. The man asked, who is he? Jesus' acknowledgement that he is the Son of Man was much like his confession to the Samaritan woman that he is the Messiah. John remains interested in the way Jesus' coming divides people. The man made a profound confession of faith, while the Pharisees were confirmed in their spiritual blindness. The man now saw both physically and spiritually. However, the Pharisees saw physically but were blind spiritually. The man's understanding of Jesus' identity developed throughout the narrative, from Jesus being a man to being Lord who is to be worshipped. As light of the world, Jesus drew the man from spiritual blindness to spiritual light. So that is the theme that's jumping out to me, spiritual blindness and spiritual light, but we've already covered it so much. That's one of the troubles here with John. He's just so repetitive. Now, I don't have a problem with that, but when you're preaching regularly, sometimes it can be tough. Sometimes it can be tough. Let's see. Taiwan Tim. Come on, Spurgeon. I know. Now, is it Spurgeon's fault? Probably not. It's probably the fault of the CSB publishers who put together the Spurgeon Study Bible. In order to demonstrate that, let's do a precise search. I know we don't do that very often these days. Let's do all books, and then let's search Bible and look specifically for John 9:35-41. But let's not do it in all books. Let's do it in Spurgeon's sermons. I bet we find a hit demonstrating that this is not Spurgeon's fault. This is the fault of the CSB editors. There we go. Charles Spurgeon. Let's try that. Boom. Look at that. He has... Oh, wait. That's not that good. Okay, not yet. Here we go. Metropolitan Tabernacle Pulpit Sermons. And he preached a sermon on John 9:1-38. No. These are his expositions. So this is like his notes. He takes notes on these things. So that's good, not great. But look here. He has notes. He has notes on all these verses that did not make the study Bible. I'll point that out. But not the expositions, but can we find... I'm wondering if we can find... Yeah, these are more notes. I'm wondering if we can't find his sermons themselves. Surely he has preached a sermon on this pericope. Maybe not. Maybe not. Let's keep going. We might find it. It's not often you use a precise search these days. I'll tell you that much. So these are all references in, 365 Days with Spurgeon, all that type of stuff. Ooh. So this is the Interpreter's Spurgeon's Devotional Bible. Interesting. Keep going. Here we go. Here is a sermon Spurgeon preached on John 9:39, which is exactly our pericope. Cite for those who see not, a sermon delivered Thursday evening, August 14th, 1884 by Charles Spurgeon at the Metropolitan Tabernacle, Newington. There you go. Boom. Surely the CSB editors could have gone through this sermon and found one good quote to include in the study Bible. But I guess what they're probably navigating at this point is how detailed and in-depth do you make your study Bible, and how surface level do you make it, right? Like, that's really what's going on here. That's really what's going on here. Alrighty, let's see. Come on, CSB. There you go, Taiwan. What is the word you keep saying? Pericope. That's it. Cal Magic posted it. Pericope. It looks like pericope, but it just means the section of text you choose to select, right? Bama, you got any John Flavel in there? I know I have him in my collected works. See, this is where precise search can be helpful. Okay, we found some stuff from Spurgeon. Let's go Flavel here. And I don't know if I'm pronouncing Flavel correctly, but that's what I'm going with. So this is where precise search. This is how you used to have to use Logos, period, right? So looks like Flavel here, he has rules. Rules about what? Chapter 9, wherein the necessity and usefulness of Christian fortitude in order to sufferings is evinced, with a brief account of its nature and the means of attaining it. So, fortitude through suffering, and then further down, rule number 9, he has these rules. Oh, it wasn't rule 9. Excuse me. Rule 4, and then down towards the bottom. Your enemies are God's enemies, and God hath espoused your cause and quarrel. The more cruel they are, the kinder he will be to you. So, very interesting. It's a pretty cool quote, to be honest. But He's got tons of stuff here. So let's see this one. This is Flavel, I believe. Yep. And this is an interesting collection. I don't know if they still offer it. I think they do. This is the Early English History collection. It's a lot of works that they just kind of compiled and just threw into one giant collection. You get a lot of documents, but they're really hard to navigate and search through. So like if you go to the top here, you know, notice that things aren't spelt correctly. Like, how are you going to search this? Very, very difficult. You know, the title of the work is very interesting, but you can still get decent hits in it, right? Which we have right here. So even with the weird formatting, it grabs our verses. Fourthly, the horrible nature of this judgment farther appears. From the exceeding difficulty of cursing it, especially in men of excellent natural endowments and accomplishments. John 9:40 and 41. The pride and conceitedness of your hearts adds obstinacy and incurableness to your blindness. These are the blind people that have eyes. In seeing, they see not. The conviction of such men is next to an impossibility. So it's very interesting, right? But this is where I find the precise search to be pretty helpful. Taiwan Tim, why'd my message get blocked? I don't know. Cal Magic clarifies, pericope means complete thought. Ah, I didn't know that's what it stood for. I've just seen it used so often in like Bible study and sermons and stuff that I started using it, right? And again, when you first come across that word, you want to call it pericope. You want to say pericope, which is not correct. Bama says, I know the Puritan stuff isn't for everyone, but I love reading Flavel. I got his complete works from Heritage Books and read a chapter a day. That's awesome. And honestly, Bama, I used to have like a giant set of the Puritan paperback series that were put out by Banner of Truth Trust. And I love those, right? That's when I was first introduced to John Owen, when I was reading through, what is it called? It's not the Mortality of Sin. Something like that, though. He's talking about how to kill sin before it kills you, right? Pretty cool. Taiwan Tim, the conviction of such men is next to an impossibility, but they can come around too. That's why he says next to an impossibility. Here, let's grab that. That's actually a good quote. That's the sort of quote that might make the sermon, right? And now we can put Flavel. Boom. Midnight Doxology says, Sermon 1065 is another Spurgeon sermon on that pericope. It's in Metro Tabernacle 18. Metro Tabernacle 18. Let's see if we can't find it. No. Oh, it keeps dancing around 18. Right there. Okay. And you said 1065. What is it? This one? No, that's 1064. Here we go. There you go. John 9:32 right there. Pretty nice. Thank you, Midnight Doxology. Appreciate that. Mortification of Sin. Thank you, Jason. Jason knew what I was talking about, right? It's been a while since I read it. And by a while, I mean over a decade. But I remember being impacted by it as a young Christian. Let's see. Taiwan Tim, I don't know if you've been live much, but I was busy working really hard for the past year. I finally got burnt out towards the end of my contract, decided not to sign a second year. Now that I'm taking a break for a few months.
I don't know why you're clapping. I'm talking
thanks for the follow.
You.
Appreciate you. Alberto, thank you. Appreciate you. Welcome to the channel. Now I'm taking a break for a few months. Glad to see you streaming. It's always cool to see a pastor's process. Yeah, thanks, Taiwan. I have been streaming every Monday for a while now. And like I said, today was a little late. My bad. But I just try to keep it consistent every Monday, right? So that's pretty nice. Midnight Doxology says, hey, Pastor Tanner, have you checked out the Puritan Search program? It's the collection of all the Puritan works in a searchable form. Worth checking out if you like Puritan works. That sounds amazing, Midnight Doxology. Is it just like a website, like a URL? Wow, pretty incredible. I'm glad you can read Roman numerals because I can't. It took me a minute, though. You saw I had to, like, math it out. I was, like, trying to add it up, you know. But you get there. You get there for sure. All right, good stuff. Well, I appreciate you guys being engaged tonight, even though I'm a little bit later than usual. And, yeah, now you guys got me wanting to read through the Puritans. Okay, so this is a sermon he did on 2 Corinthians 4, 3 and 4, but he quotes John 9, 40 and 41 throughout. Ah, there you go. And look, this is from the works of John Flavel, the whole works, volumes 1 to 6. Notice this is the same as this, right? But this is found in the early English history collection, whereas this one is found in his collected works. There is substantial overlap sometimes between like the early English history collection and, those types of works and the collected works. And these are often edited better, right? But you can see the same quote here. In seeing they see not, the conviction of such men is next to an impossibility. Right there. So, same kind of thing. Midnight Doxology says, it's free also. It's built on DocFetcher. My buddy built it with some help. That's so cool. Very nice. Incredible. Ping says, okay, I'm going 1 Corinthians 1:3, grace and peace from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. We'll see you later, Ping. Thanks for swinging by. I appreciate you. And I know I've got you on the back burner in terms of our chat. I'll try to catch up when I can. It has been a busy couple of weeks for me. Okay? I will try to catch up when I can. Cal Magic says, try adding or subtracting Roman numerals. They did have a method. Maybe that helps you to learn it. And then Midnight Doxology, the EBO is actually what the Puritan Search uses, just public domain stuff. I got you, but like all the Puritan stuff is public domain at this point, right? So, I mean, that makes perfect sense. Okay, here's a quote. This is a different one from the works of Flavel. Consider the indiscernibleness of this judgment to the soul on whom it lies. They know it not, no more than a man knows that he is asleep. Indeed, is the spirit of the deep sleep poured out upon them from the Lord, like that which befell, interesting, Adam when God opened his side and took out a rib. This renders their misery the more remediless, because ye say you see, therefore your sin remaineth. There you go. I'm actually going to report typo here. So if you guys don't know this, you can select a word and report typo. I'm going to go down here and do it. And I think it's befell with 2 L's. And I think, Logos has a team that goes through and edits these. If that was in this, the early English history works, I don't think I'd report it because those ones are like just text brought over. But this one's in his collected works. And so to me, there should be a little bit of editing that goes along with that. The whole works of John Flavel. Although you can see this is probably a public domain work at this point. I don't know what the copyright for that stuff is. Anyway, I'm digressing. Midnight Doxology, I don't know. I still consider Martin Lloyd-Jones and Paul Washer Puritans. I love that. I actually, look at this Midnight Doxology. I created my own custom grouping for this. Look. Collections, Charles Spurgeon, and then look, sermons, Spurgeon, McLaren, and Lloyd-Jones. I created my own custom collection if I wanted to search these 3 preachers, Spurgeon, McLaren, and Lloyd-Jones. Now, Washer ain't in there, but I don't have a lot of Washer's sermons in my library. But I did that a long time ago. I created this custom collection for Spurgeon, McLaren, and Lloyd-Jones. So that's 2 out of 3. I see what you mean. Alrighty. I am having too much fun tonight. Let's continue. We might end up having to preach just on spiritual blindness. And I'm sure we can bring, some new things to light. But my hesitancy is that I don't like it being repetitive. And that might be a problem with me, not with anyone else in particular. I think overall people are pretty fine with that. The Bible has themes that repeat themselves. It makes sense. But still, for me, I don't know. I like to mix it up more often. The portrayal of the Jewish leaders is a satiric portrait in which the leaders exhibit the folly of disbelieving in Jesus' miraculous power and denying the fact that the blind man now sees. At the end of the story, pathos replaces comedy when the Pharisees expel the healed man from the community and Jesus steps forward as the consoler of the outcast. This is interesting. Notice the language. Satiric, pathos. This comes explicitly from the ESV Literary Study Bible. And what they try to do is dig into the literary markers of the text, which, even if you disagree with it, it's very interesting. There's something unique going on in this one. So, ESV Literary Study Bible. Boom. That's a very interesting one. Midnight Doxology, in all fairness, Paul Washer has about 3 sermons he gives on different occasions, LOL. I actually listened to a sermon by him when he joked that other people said he only has 1 sermon. And then he was like, well, I have to preach the gospel every time. So yeah, I got 1 sermon. I thought that was pretty funny. Yet they're always fresh somehow. I agree with that. Paul Washer was huge for me for a long time. You know, I haven't listened to him in a long time. I haven't read him in a long time, but there was a period in my walk where all I could read or listen to was Paul Washer. Incredible. Bama says, bring back the Genovian gown. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I was talking to a brother of ours, and he was telling me, you got to wear the clerical collar. And I was like, bro, I'm Baptist. I don't wear the clerical collar. But, you know, he was kind of trying to point out the advantages of it. And so I get it. All right. I get it. I still don't think I can do it. I'm a Baptist, but I get it. You see what I mean? You guys are picking up what I'm laying down. You're feeling it. I can tell. Sorry, I'm having too much fun tonight. All right. Is there anything else in here? Maybe we should try the NET. Only because we know there's a significant textual variant in this text. I already found it because I referenced Philip Comfort. But let's see what they have to say here. Notes for 935. And 935 is where it says, Jesus heard that they had cast him out, and having found him, he said, do you believe in the Son of Man? Found him, the referent, the man has been specified in the translation for clarity, not needed. Here you go. Textual variant. Although most witnesses have theou of God instead of anthropou of man. Here the better witnesses have anthropou. Not only is the external evidence decidedly on the side of anthropou, but it is difficult to see such early and diverse witnesses changing theou to anthropou. The wording Son of Man is thus virtually certain. Now, Philip Comfort wasn't that strong in his statement about it, but he did also favor anthropou. So let's go ahead and put that down. NET, boom. Locking it in. Locking it in. Midnight Doxology. Wait, you've got to expand on that. What's the advantages? Well, when I was talking... Here, we got to go to the big screen. When I was talking with this individual, they told me that they were out and about, a man about town, and somebody had actually approached them because he was wearing a clerical collar. They said, hey, would you pray for me? And he said, oh, sure, what about? And they got into a conversation about things, and then he got to pray for that individual right there out in public. So somebody who probably doesn't go to church very much saw a man wearing a clerical collar and thought, that's a man of God. That is somebody that I can go to if I need prayer. And so to me, I don't know, that's pretty impressive, right? Now, some people might look at that and they have the almost opposite reaction, right? Here's somebody who's trying to display their godliness, outwardly, but some might argue that the benefits outweigh the negatives, right? And so I guess that's where the conversation lies, is do you want people to know or recognize in public? Like, yeah, this is my vocation. I am a pastor and I'm available if you have spiritual need and if you have questions about spiritual matters. Like, somebody sees a clerical collar, they know, hey, I can talk to that person about God. But other people might be put off by it. I think the benefits probably outweigh the negatives there, right? I don't know. It's very interesting. It's certainly not part of Baptist tradition, so it's the sort of thing that if I were to do it, it's very different than what Baptists typically do. But yeah, I can see the point being made for it. All right. Let's see. Bama. I was on a listening streak to a certain brother who recently became the hot topic in the Reformed world. Sad times. I got you. I know you're talking about, Bama. Yeah, that's an interesting development indeed. Cal Magic, examine how you observe events in the present. Do you see God working, or are you blind to it? Think like how the ancient Israelite viewed the world. The material spiritual world were and are connected, not separated like modern times. This could be spiritual blindness. I like that. I like that a lot. And I absolutely think that we fall into this issue at times. Midnight Doxology says, got her into the Bible study. Have a good night, guys. Thanks for the stream, Pastor Tanner. My pleasure. Thanks for swinging by and hanging out. And thanks for all your contribution. Enjoyed chatting with you. Have a great evening and a great Bible study. Talk to you later, okay? So let's go ahead and put Cal Magic's idea here. This is pretty valuable. Okay. So spiritual blindness kind of looks almost inevitable that that's the direction we're going to go. I don't know, though. I just don't know. I just feel like I've preached on spiritual blindness so much. You know what I mean? Like I said, this might be a me problem. Oh, I wasn't trying to go to the ESV. I was trying to go to this one, Life Connections. Okay, they have a couple quotes here at the end. Let's see what they have. This implies that Jesus had no connection with God, unlike Moses. I like the Life Connections because they have good questions, right? Which is great for preaching. You know, the questions kind of spur you on to try to examine a little bit deeper. What can we imitate from this blind man when it comes to sharing the gospel? Yep. Thrown the man out. Oh, this is at the very end. So it's not quite to my pericope, although here's verse 38. Throughout the scriptures, angels and prophets refused to let others worship them. For example, it's revealing then that Jesus accepted this man's worship. Imitate that man by worshiping Jesus now, proclaiming the truth that he is God. That's pretty powerful. And this one is Life Connections? Yeah, Life Connections Study Bible. Boom. Okay, it looks like it's still transferring. I think we're on the right track. Yeah, it's going. It's going. Gabriel, hello. Recently
Your
came across
life
your channel.
is not in your
Angie.
hands. Your life is in the hands of God.
Yes, Angie. Thank you.
Angie Jags 88 just resubbed for 46 months.
46, y'all. That's almost 4 years. That's crazy. What's up, Angie? How are you? Happy Monday. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for swinging by. Yes. Yes. Gabriel says, recently came across your channel, loving these streams. I learned more about Logos seeing you use it practically than any training I've attended. Well, I'm glad to hear that, Gabriel. Yes, awesome. Recently bought gold for personal study and seminary. Good decision. And I think that is going to be a huge benefit for you, getting the full feature set for the upcoming subscription, should you choose to participate. So that's a win-win. Well done, Gabriel. Good to see you. Thanks for swinging by. Appreciate the kind words. Awesome. Much love to you, Angie. Angie is always repping the Pastor 7 Rories, and I love to see it. I love to see it. Cal Magic, do you look at the heavens and see fission reactors or the grand design of God? A rose, the birth of a baby. It's one of the reasons I performed magic, to rekindle that sense of wonder and awe that is of God. Bad imitation, but it worked. Thanks for sharing that, Cal Magic. That's pretty awesome. And again, it's like your previous comment, where in the West, we have like voluntarily blinded ourselves to the spiritual world, which is not a good space to be in. Okay. I would not recommend that you voluntarily blind yourself to the spiritual world, but it feels like we've done that. You know, it feels like we've done that. And so we've got to kind of drag ourselves out of that problem. Oh, I didn't know this. Look at this beautiful picture. This is such a shame that so many of these great pictures are buried in resources. If you do a media search, I'll tell you right now, if you do a media search in Logos for Pool of Siloam, I doubt you would get this hit. Let's try real quick. This is a beautiful picture. I've shown a picture before of the Pool of Siloam, but it wasn't this good. Let's see. Media. Your books, media. Pool Siloam. Did I spell it right? Yeah. Now let's see. Will it give us the media we were looking for? And maybe I searched wrong before. So library downloaded. See, I'm not seeing this image. Now, it might be in here, but this really is a great picture to help people see. So the man, when he was sent to the pool of Siloam to wash, that's where Jesus sent him after he put the mud on his eyes. And then not only that, during the Feast of Tabernacles, they actually had to go down to the pool of Siloam, grab some water, walk with that water all the way up to the temple, which was up here, right? So they would go all the way down here. They would grab some water and they would walk all the way back up to the temple in procession, and they would pour that water out on the altar, which was very fascinating as well. But when I showed people this, I did not show them this picture, which is absolutely incredible. But instead, I showed them kind of like a top-down, plan view of where the pool of Siloam was located and the temple itself. But this is a great picture. And if I had found this, I almost certainly would have included it. There it is, right there. Well, I'm wrong. Boom. It's right there. I guess I probably, you know what I need to do? I need to change my query a little bit in terms of my media search, because when I had done this search before, I did not search Pool of Siloam. I probably searched something like, tabernacles or something like that. You know what I mean? It's just, you got to vary up your searches if you want to get all of the right media hits. But it is right there. So I was wrong. I missed it. And I would have loved this image when I was preaching on this particular point. Very interesting. Arnold says, how can we join his stream chat? Well, you're part of my stream chat right now, Arnold. Here's the problem. I'm multi-streaming, Arnold, to both YouTube and Twitch. And Twitch has a rule that says you will only post Twitch chat in your stream. So I have to follow Twitch's rule because I'm a Twitch partner. Maybe I'm not a partner. I'm an affiliate or whatever it is. So I have to follow Twitch's rules if I'm going to multi-stream, and that's one of their rules. But I can see your chat. If you guys could see it, I have two chats open on my screen, right? And the two chats include YouTube and Twitch. So it doesn't pop up here, but it does pop up in front of my face, and I can respond to it. So anyway. Bama says, makes me think of Christ talking to Ephesus in Revelation. Return to your first love. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. I recently read all of the letters to the churches in Revelation. It's a quick, easy read, but really encouraging. All right, let's keep going. I feel like we've done enough study Bibles. Maybe one more. Global? I remember global being similar to the, what was the other the gospel transformation. I remember global being similar to it. Let's see what we get, though. Survey says, yeah, just a small section here. If you were blind means if they had no knowledge at all about God's words or his laws, and no knowledge about who Jesus is, you would have no guilt for violating specific teachings or commands that they had received. Paul makes a similar argument in Romans 1:18 to 3:20. And it also reminds me of Acts, where in Acts 17, Paul says, trespasses and sins of the Gentiles God winked at formerly, but now he calls all men everywhere to repent, which is very interesting. So there's that. But let's look at this passage in Acts 17. A little bit further on, I think. Yeah. The God who made the world and everything in it, being Lord of heaven and earth, does not live in temples made by man, nor is he served by human hands as though he needed anything, since he himself gives to all mankind life and breath and everything. And he made from one man every nation of mankind to live on all the face of the earth, having determined allotted periods of the boundaries of their dwelling place, and that they should seek after God and perhaps feel their way toward him and find him, yet he is actually not far from each one of us. For in him we live and move and have our being, as even some of your own poets have said, for we are indeed his offspring. Being then God's offspring, we ought not to think that the divine being is like gold or silver or stone, an image formed by the art and imagination of man. The times of ignorance God overlooked, but now he commands all people everywhere to repent. There we go. Because he has fixed a day on which he will judge the world in righteousness by a man whom he has appointed, and of this he has given assurance to all by raising him from the dead. This overlooked phrase, right? This is a very interesting word. I don't think it's very common. Yeah, it's a hapax legomena, right? This is the only time it's used in the New Testament. Acts 17:30. Very interesting. So we might grab that one. Reference Acts 17:30 and drop it down below here. Boom. What's up, Perk? Good to see you. Welcome, welcome. Been a minute? How are you? I hope you're doing well. Bama says, quoting from Augustine, well, he washed his eyes in that pool, which is by interpretation sent. He was baptized in Christ. Interesting. Yeah, and Bama says, interesting take. Let's grab it. Oh, it says badge, watching without audio. Individuals with unreliable or no sound can select this badge. I see, Bama. You know what's funny? I was looking at that. I was like, is Bama muted? But how can he talk to me if he's muted? Ah. Cow Magic, all the 7 churches were located in Asia Minor. This history of Asia Minor, especially Christianity, is fascinating. Indeed. Guys, I'm out of water. I'm going to go get some more water. And we'll only go about another 15 minutes, okay? Because I want to help with bedtime. I know I got started a little late. I want to do the full hour. But yeah, I got to end soon to help with bedtime with the kids, okay? Be right back. Okay, I'm back. Perk, hey, Pastor, been doing well. How are you? I am fantastic. Been doing really well. Bama says, I don't know how to remove that. Not savvy with the Twitch. Hey, you're good. I'm not bothered by it. You obviously can hear me because you keep responding to me. So I'm good. Don't do it for my sake. All right, what else do we have here? I think we're done with study Bibles. Okay, let's do the opposite. We did study Bibles. Let's dig into an in-depth commentary, which means we got to go to Pillar. Come on. What do you got for me, D.A. Carson? Very interesting. 35 to 41. Yeah, let's read this whole section. I want to see what he has to say. And he does have a note on the textual variants. There's 2 of them. Let's see what he says. I bet he just goes with Philip Comfort. Several manuscripts omit all of verse 38. Jesus said from verse 39. Some scholars have justified the omission, partly on ground that the verb for said in verse 38 is rare in John. Yep, I remember reading that. While this verb rendered worship is found only in 4:20 to 24, where God is the object, these scholars suggest that these words were added for liturgical reasons, perhaps as a part of baptismal catechesis, where the candidate would respond in terms of verse 38. This presupposes that liturgical forces were influential in shaping the transmission of the text at an astonishingly early date, since one very early papyrus, P75, omits it. And that was one of the things I found interesting. When I was looking at the evidence from Comfort, he noted that, right? Notice that 2 papyri read differently here. If you read P66, it says, and he said, I believe, Lord, and worshipped him. But if you read P75, it omits it. Well, P66 and P75 are both really early papyri, right? So it's hard to pit them against each other. This is a tough variant right here. And of course, that's why Carson is responding to it. This presupposes liturgical forces were influential, blah, blah, blah. In view of the overwhelming textual evidence supporting inclusion of the words, it is best to judge them as original. One might as easily hypothesize that the omission, if it did not occur accidentally, originated in a lectionary that sought to unify Jesus' teaching by jumping from 37 to 39. That's actually the opposite of Philip Comfort's conclusion. So we got to put that down, y'all. We got to put that down. Let's go to Comfort real quick. Not only is the external evidence decidedly on the side of... Oh, no, that was the verse before, on for poo. Let's go to Comfort, NTTC, NTTTC. New Testament Text and Translation Commentary. And I thought I remember Comfort saying the opposite. Let's see. The text without 38 to 39a presents a continuous statement from Jesus' lips. However, it does not show how the blind man responded to Jesus' question. Of course, this is disappointing for the reader and could very likely be the prime factor that motivated scribes or redactors to insert the addition and thereby fill the gap. The reader wants to know if the blind man became a believer. Indeed, he did. But this is not readily apparent in the shorter text. Yet in saying, those who don't see could, Jesus was implying the blind man had come to see Jesus was the Messiah. Having argued for the shorter reading, it is disappointing to observe that not one English version has adopted it. The NET translators were inclined to do so, but they decided to keep the verses in the text. Its omission is noted in NLT and TNIV. Is that the right one? Yeah, it is the right one. Yeah. So you can see he says, we should admit it. We should admit it. And it's a shame that many translators don't. It's just, it feels bad to remove such strong verses. You know what I mean? But we run into this all the time when it comes to textual variants. Anyway, I dove way deep into the textual variant rabbit hole on this one. Cal Magic, do you ever talk to your congregation about manuscript differences if it affects your people's translations? I do. So oftentimes I try to do the research beforehand. Like, this is probably what I'll do in this case. Here, let's go to the big screen. So there are two ways that I often treat this. In this case, because it's a significant textual variant, but it'll probably distract from things if I bring it up, I will do the research on it, and I'll take some notes ahead of time with me into the pulpit, and I will keep them for the Q&A. And what often happens in the Q&A is somebody will bring up the comment. They'll say something like, hey, my translation doesn't say that. What gives? And then at that moment, I can tell them, here's what's going on, here's why, etc. So that's one way in which I typically deal with it. The other way is for extremely major textual variants. I will actually bring up that textual variant, and I will talk about all of the issues with textual variants in general and textual transmission, etc., from the pulpit. I've done this twice now. I did this once when I got to the long ending of Mark years and years ago. So that's when I got to Mark 16. I just, verse 9 through 20, I preached a whole sermon on textual variants, right? But also here recently in John, when I got to John 5, is it? Or 6? The woman caught in the act of adultery. Very recent, to be honest. I did two things there. One, I preached on textual variants for about half the sermon, and then I also preached on the text itself. So I do try to bring it up, and I think when pastors avoid it, it leads people into a difficult position, right? So yes, I try to treat them as often as I can. Bama says, do you do a Q&A after each service, or do people just come up afterwards? I do a Q&A after each service unless we have a special service, okay? So if a special service is something like, at the end, we're going to do another event. Like the last 2 weeks, we've done eldership discussions after the service, right? Well, I'm replacing the Q&A with eldership discussion. Sometimes there is a special meeting that needs to be had. Okay, I replace Q&A with that meeting. But most times I do a Q&A afterwards. So we'll do the sermon, I'll release people, I'll greet people in the foyer and, see them leave for the first, 15 minutes, and then I'll go back in and we'll start the Q&A up. And the Q&A lasts anywhere from half hour to 45 minutes, something like that, typically, right? And people can ask whatever they want. A lot of people say the Q&A is one of their favorite things about our church, right? And I got that idea from Timothy Keller. I don't even know where I heard it from. He was like doing an interview or something. And I think somebody asked, like, what's the most profound or impactful thing that you did in your time as pastor? And he said, instituting a Q&A at the end of the service. And I thought, that's a good idea. And I started doing it, and people love it. People really like the Q&A. I think they just feel really empowered to ask questions and, recognize, hey, I don't have all the answers and I don't really know everything, but I'm going to try my best, right? So it's pretty good. Perk, Pastor, out of curiosity, how long are the Sunday services at your church? Well, we fire up at 10 o'clock, usually 10:05, and I usually am done preaching by like 11:25. So it takes about an hour and a half, a little less than that, for us to do all the songs, the announcements, my preaching, etc. So call it an hour and 20 minutes. And then I dismiss people, give them about 15 minutes to exit, and then I do Q&A until usually around 12:15, right? So all's told, we clock in usually about 2 hours, 15 minutes, 2.5 hours on the long side. Arnold, do you use Logos for your slides or do you manually design it? I use Proclaim, which is a software that Logos makes, right? And the really nice thing about Proclaim is it is essentially a cloud-based PowerPoint, but it has built-in features from Logos to insert Bible verses and things like that. So I use Proclaim. You know, my wife builds the slides for each week, and then everybody on the team can go in and drop in slides as they need to, right? It's a little pricey on the subscription, which is not my favorite, but I still think we as a church prefer it to PowerPoint. Bama, I wish we did that. I feel like biblical literacy is at such a low that it would help out a ton. That's right. And you get a bunch of people that, you know, can ask questions regardless of where they're at. So I get very simple questions, and then sometimes I get very complex questions. And all of it is an encouragement to me, right? I'm happy to answer all the questions, right? So I enjoy that very much. Alrighty, guys. Well, I've got 2 minutes. Engagement. Yes, that's huge. Engagement. Well, and I think that's important too. Not only that, but like there's a certain amount of authenticity that happens there as well. So yeah, you're engaging with others, but you're authentic, you know. People can see like, oh, this is a place where it's safe to ask questions, right? So I agree. All right, guys. 1 minute, 30 seconds. I'm not going to drag out things extra long. I know I got started late, and I apologize for that. Hopefully I get my phone set up, and I don't have to worry about this anymore. It looks like it's still going. So anyway, I'm bad at technology, but I'm trying to learn it. But yeah, we made some good progress. I'm excited about the direction of the sermon. Excited the direction we're going. Guys, this week we should start releasing some of our buying guides. Oh yeah, some of our buying guides for the upcoming subscription service. I have the libraries in advance, just a spreadsheet that lists them out, right? And I'm going through and trying to create buying guides for each of them. I hope to release the leader libraries this week, and then maybe the preacher libraries at the end of the week or the beginning of next week. And then we can release a video on the researcher libraries sometime later next week or the week after. I'm trying to build up to the release, right? And so I'm very excited to release some of the libraries and my favorite buys and things like that. It's really exciting. So just so you guys know, there are going to be 4 types of libraries coming out at launch. There's going to be the standard libraries, okay? And those will go from all the way from starter all the way up to collectors. There's going to be the leader libraries, and I believe those goes from starter to silver, maybe gold. And then there's the researcher libraries, and those, they skip starter. They go from bronze to diamond. And then there's the researcher libraries. And I think that goes from silver all the way through like portfolio or something like that. So anyway, it's very interesting how they're doing the releases this year. I've dug into 2 sets of libraries thus far. I've dug into the leader libraries and the preacher libraries. I'm very excited for what they're going to release, guys. And of course, you can see some of the new resources that are coming out. They always kind of hold some new resources back so that when they release at launch, they can load these into the libraries. And so that's going to be really exciting as well. So anyway, look for those videos this week, next week, weeks to come. I'm trying to release as many videos as I can before launch date. Launch date is the 21st, I believe. Let me look here real quick. Launch date, I believe, is the 21st. Yeah. And it's going to be early morning on the 21st. They often do these, you know, morning of releases. I hope to live stream the launch, guys. So if you guys want to swing by on the 21st, early in the morning, I hope to be live streaming the launch. We'll see everything that they're previewing, all that type of stuff, and then you can see the libraries as they go live. So that's what I'm looking forward to. Cal Magic, I'm sad the denominational libraries seem to be going away. They're not going away. I was told they'll be out in 2025. I was told they're delaying them. So I think the denominational libraries are coming. Somebody asked me about Verbum. Verbum is coming later as well. They said they're not ready yet. And so they're delaying that till 2025 also. That's my understanding. Or they might do it like November or something. Anyway, so I don't think they're getting rid of the denominational libraries, but they're just releasing them later, right? They're just releasing them later. So anyway, but I want to live stream the launch. I think that's going to be fun. Look for the videos coming out where I talk about the libraries and, you know, my best buys, best picks. I think there's going to be some good ones. So anyway. Perk says, I see, that's interesting. I think that's like going to a uni lecture. When I was a kid, the church my family took to had a service for like 3 to 4 hours. Now that I think about it, it seems too long. Yeah, in our day and age, it does seem long, right? I guess shorter sessions help keep people engaged. Perhaps no excuses to skip Sundays. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so But we keep it all under 3 hours typically, for sure. All right, Bama, people can actually fill out your stance on topics too. 100%. Good night, sir. Thanks for getting on. 40 points from another dab praying for you. Get them children to bed. I love it. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for hanging out. I had a blast. I hope you have a fantastic week. Thank you so much for supporting us here on Twitch, here on Pastor Tanner Biblical Studies, and we'll see you again real soon. Take care. God bless. Bye.